Hi folks, Rick here. Welcome to my channel. Alright, so today I thought I'd give you a little recap of the 2024 Hot Rod Power Tour that I went on, as well as a few tips for you in case you want to do it. This particular event here is 5 days in 5 cities. So we started out at this year in Bowling Green, then went to Nashville, then went to Louisville, then went to Columbus, Ohio, and back to Indianapolis there. So if you want to go, you don't have to do all 5 days in 5 cities. You could just go to 1, you could go to 2, whatever you want there. So it's very flexible like that. It's, the theory behind the thing is to drive older hot rods, something that you fix up yourself, something that you get going, one of your project cars like that. But reality, you can take whatever you want. A lot of people have an old car and it doesn't get fixed or doesn't look like it's going to make it, and then they got to go to plan B and end up taking their daily driver. So you can really go with anything you want. The idea is to bring something cool to show people, to have something fun with. That's kind of what it's about, but you can really take anything on there. And again, you don't have to go all 5 days. So at each event there is, a lot of them are at drag strips, a lot of them are at like Nashville was at a super speedway. We went to L&D Arena in Louisville, which was just an arena like that. So it depends on where you go on these events, on what they have. So some of them, they'll have drag racing events that you can do while you're there. That's part of your admission there. You can go drag race, you can do autocross. They had some drifting. They've got dyno pulls. Obviously, thousands and thousands of cars for car shows like that. There's guest appearances. I've seen Lucky Costa there from Hot Rod Garage, Mike Cotton from Cotton and Newbern Show, Jeff Lutz from Street Outlaws, Clay Millican, who's one of the top drag racers out there. So a lot of that stuff out there. So tons of stuff to do at the venues. The funnest part is really the drive. So you get up every day, you take off, you go from one city to another, you follow a sort of a pre-described route, but you try to stay off any interstates, take back roads, farm roads. You're going through small towns. You got thousands of cars. There's people out on the streets, watching for you, waving for you, hoping you stop. And so it's just a lot of fun. A lot of cool places to see, a lot of nice countryside to drive through. You get started out early, it's nice out, and it's just a lot of fun. And to me, that's probably one of the bigger parts. After the venue also, you go back to your hotel. The hotels are booked. The parking lots are just packed full of cool looking cars. They're in the grass. All the parking spots are taken there. And so there's like a car show at your hotel every night. People are standing out there all night just BSing and checking over each other's cars, fixing anything that needs to get fixed, helping each other out. So those are the kind of things that, to me, that are really the more fun than the actual venues there. But a lot of cool things to see there. So if you haven't done this, this is one of those bucket list items to put on your list to try to do. I did the whole 5 days. You get a long hauler plaque if you make it to all 5 different locations there. It's not easy to do necessarily if you're driving an old car, but it's a lot of fun. And again, you can take really anything on there. So if you haven't done it, highly encourage you, at least go out for a day, see one of the events, try to hook up with them at one location, drive to another so you can really experience that. That's really where a lot of the fun is there. It's really super cool. So a couple of learnings I got here. One here is, if you're like me and you can't stand traffic and stand in lines, you really got to get your head turned around that and get focused on vacation there, because there's going to be lines. There's going to be traffic all over the place. You got thousands and thousands of cars going through a small town, one stoplight or 4-way stop, and you got a line going there. So you just got to get by that. You get there when you get there, enjoy everything that's going on, and just have fun. You're not at work, just, you got to get past that there, and it's a lot of fun there if you can do that. The second thing you really got to do for your car is planned for overheating. You've got to get your cooling system dialed in. Obviously, a high efficient radiator, fan, a high flow fan, and a fan shroud system, making sure all your thermostats, hoses, and all that stuff is in good shape. That stuff's got to be as best you can get it. And then also other things there, make sure your engine's tuned up so there's not something going wrong there that's causing it to get hot. You don't want anything on there. Fix anything that needs to get fixed. Make sure your timing and all that stuff set's correct. Fuel settings are correct. And then fuel also. This car here had a metal fuel filter on it, and it had a real nice stainless steel braided, but it had a metal fuel filter that was bolted to the cylinder head on a bracket. And then that sat right behind the darn fan, so between the heat coming off that cylinder head and the fan, it's just going to boil that fuel. So I got rid of that, relocated everything. You want to just make sure your fuel system, especially if you're running carburetor, is as far away from the heat that you can get. There's only so much you can do, but take precautions where you can. Also, if you're running a carburetor, think about a heat sink there, like a wooden or a phenolic resin carb spacer there. That'll go a long way to keep that heat from your manifold from getting in your carb and boiling out your gas. So anything you can do there to prevent heat. Also there, make sure you got some carpet or some type of heat barrier on your floorboards. That gets really hot. The first couple of events this time here, I think I'm just going to go on a limb and say we're disorganized. Beach Bend Raceway was just like, they're looking at us like, what are all these 6,000 cars doing here type of deal. It was well over 2 hours to get into that place, and over an hour, probably an hour and a half just trying to get out. It was a disaster there. And so you're just sitting there in hot sun baking, and you've got to have your car dialed in for that thing. So think about that. Nashville was tough getting in, was easy getting out. The rest of them are all good. In Columbus there, the National Trail Raceway, and then the Lucas Oil Dragway in Indy there, dialed in, right? You drove right in, you drove right out. They know everyone's driving something that's going to struggle in the heat. They took precautions, made sure everything was organized, and it all went good. But the first two events, man, it was tough. But even going through some small towns, you got to be prepared there to just sit in traffic for a little while as you get through. So you got to have your cooling situation there dialed in. The other thing is really cooling system for yourself. Obviously, big hat, sunblock and all that kind of stuff there. But if you've got a car that's got tinted windows and AC, you're in pretty darn good shape. But if you don't, it gets really tough. If you drive an old car like this, the glass in this thing doesn't have any tinting or any sun protection whatsoever. It's just like a magnifying glass in there. It is night and day different than driving your daily driver, driving an old car like this with old glass in it there. So, and this one doesn't have AC. So you put sunblock on. In the morning time, you leave early. It's 60s out. It's beautiful. You got the window down and just enjoying life. But as the day goes on, it gets a little hotter. And we never really got hot, like you were sweating or really dying of thirst or anything like that. But after several days of that sun baking you, the sunblock just wasn't working. It was just getting hot. And you got to take precautions. Give yourself some options there. So I ended up with a beach towel laying over top of my legs there to prevent any sun from hitting them there. It was just getting hot. It just, as soon as the sun hit it, you could feel it. Didn't matter about the sunblock or getting burnt. It was just getting sensitive to it. I had a darn pillowcase wrapped tight around my arm and stuff like that because it was hanging out the window all day. So after several days of that there, just make sure you got options to keep yourself cool, keep yourself out of the sun there so you don't get sick or miserable. With that, this event is absolutely not pet friendly at all. I take my dog everywhere. This is not something you want to take a pet with you. It is just too hot. It's all time in the car, and these venues here are all on hot asphalt, hot concrete. There's no places to get in shade from most of this thing, and there's just too darn many people there. So if you got pets, find a spot for them. Don't bring them with you there. It's just unfortunate. This is one event here that's not pet friendly there, so don't think about that. But other than that, yeah, it's fun there. So I took my 66 here. You know, did everything I could on it to make it as best as could. You know, I couldn't buy everything new and put a new engine, a new transmission. I had to go with what I got, and a lot of people do. But you fix everything that you see is wrong. Try to do some testing on there, and just obviously really spend a lot of time on the cooling system. But at some point in time, you just got to go as you go. How far the car will go, I don't know. I was lucky. The longest leg for me was really the trip from here down to Bowling Green. Made it down there, took my time. You know, I didn't press it and try to do 85. I just, you know, found some back roads and drove 60, 65 all the way down. Didn't push the thing. I didn't have any problems the whole way. Once I got down there, I felt pretty good. The first day sitting in, you know, a couple hours lying at Beach Bend, the car got hot, probably maybe 200 degrees. I don't know about when the actual fan clutch kicks in, but it just never got any hotter than that. And I didn't have any problems. So after the first day, I felt really comfortable, like that. I really thought the car would make it after that. The only thing, you know, you can't predict something weird happen or something letting go in the engine. You never know on a thing there. But I took all the steps I could, ended up just having a fantastic time. Car started right up in the morning, ran good, never had any problems the whole time, never got hot, never got a flat tire, you know, fuel pump didn't go out. Some other weird, wacky thing didn't happen there. I did have my trunk all of a sudden decided to pop open every once in a while, so I'd look and it's like, holy cow, I got stuff blowing out of the trunk. So, you know, pull over and deal with that there. But had a great time. It was a fantastic week. Seen just so many cool cars out there, not just old hot rods, but, you know, there's rat rods, full-on race cars, and just stuff that people think up and cobble together. Cars I've never seen before. It's just awesome. The people out there were awesome. I met a ton of cool people. It was really just a great vacation there. So think about this. Look it up, Hot Rod Power Tour. Sign-ups kind of kick off in January, and they sell out quick. So keep an eye on for that. You can't just go as a spectator as well. You can just show up and go to for a spectator, so you can do that there. But look at something there if you can. If you can make the whole thing, and they basically call that a long hauler where you hit every event, that's a really cool thing. They give you a nice plaque for having achieved that. That's a nice thing if you can do it. If you can only hit one or two, do that. But it's a lot of fun. If you like cars, this is something for the bucket list. Give it a shot. And again, the big thing there is make sure you just have a good attitude there, because you're going to have some lines and traffic and that kind of stuff. And think about heat for your car, heat for yourself. You'll have a blast there. So with that, take care, and we'll see what's next.